Hey everybody, it's Tom at Talent Guitar Works, and today I get to spotlight one of the people in the guitar industry that I admire the most, and that's Dean Zielinski, guitar builder. And he started out in high school on a similar path or parallel trajectory to Paul Reed Smith in the 70s. One was in Maryland, one's in Chicago area. Both started by repairing and building guitars in high school for local music shops and musicians, and built their businesses forward from that. They both had the idea that they needed to put innovations on the guitars that weren't currently available on the market from the big guitar manufacturers, Fender and Gibson. Both were successful. Dean Zielinski Guitars gets a little confusing for people because there were three different companies all using his name. The first was Dean Guitars, and in 1977 he built guitars for ZZ Top, for Nils Lofgren, for Kerry Livgren from Kansas, for Michael Schenker from the Michael Schenker Group, and for Dimebag Darrell, just to name some of the people. Then he went on, after he sold that company, to DBZ Guitars, or Dean Barrett Zielinski Guitars. And he kept that company going and stayed on, I heard, after he sold it to design more guitars for them. Currently, and since 2012, he's owned Dean Zielinski private label guitars. Now, my journey with Dean Guitars started in 2004 when I was living in Tampa, Florida. I went into Legends Music on Hillsborough Street, a great guitar shop that's no longer there, but kind of lives on in Replay Guitar down on Gandy, because that's where the owner went to manage that shop. And I bought this guitar. And this is a Dean hardtail guitar. And it's a little bit dirty right now because it's been in lots of bars and had lots of nicotine and beer and sweat and blood and tears on it, but the control cavity's never been opened. I'm a trem guy. This is a hardtail. I would never part with this guitar. You could offer me 3 times what I paid for it. I'm not giving it to you. I've bonded with this guitar. So that probably says more about Dean Zielinski Guitars than this video will do justice for. 20 years and I won't give this one up, and it still looks and plays great. The only thing I've ever had to change on it was the strings. Now, fast forward to John Green and his Z-Glide neck. We tried to fit it into the 77 Stratocaster, but remember, that pocket was already altered for a 4-bolt neck. So the Z-Glide neck was slightly smaller than the 77 Strat neck. We didn't want to modify the neck again, so I called Dean Zielinski private label guitars and got Parker on the phone. Told him the dilemma we had, and could we get a different size neck or a specialty neck and send that one back, or could I buy a body from them? Well, we settled on them selling us a Tagliare body in black that you're going to see in the videos, and the pick guard and the bridge and everything else, and I'll talk about that as I'm assembling it ad nauseum at some points. But it turned out really well. And if you're going to buy a Z-Glide neck, put the time and effort in to master that neck. It's not instant gratification. And from my past careers where I had to deal with bonding with equipment intimately, I know the longer you use a piece of equipment, the more it becomes an extension of your body, and it's easier for you to operate and manipulate. It's just that simple. And I've told people that about buying fractals and helixes. If you think you're going to bring it home and unbox it and sound great, you got another thing coming. You got to do the homework. Repetition, repetition, repetition. Slow is fast, fast is smooth, all that good stuff, right? So in the next clips, you're going to see the assembly of that guitar, and I'd like to thank, once again, I'm going to do it at the beginning and the end. I'd like to thank Dean Zielinski and Parker for all their help on this project, making this possible. So if you want a great guitar like the ATW, All the Tone in the World guitar, or a Stradivita or a La Voce or a Tagliare or Del Terra, you know, go look them up. They've got some great products, and I would buy another one. I've got this one. This one's mine. Hey everybody, this is Tom at Talent Guitar Works, and we're back right now for part 2 of John Green's Tagliare assembly So what I'm going to do is I've got the guitar on a padded doormat that's under here, and I've got a fresh bath towel on top of it to protect the finish. So the first thing I'm going to do is get the neck into the neck pocket by pressing straight down on it. Make sure that it's all seated. Now I'm going to flip it over and it's on this padded surface, and I'm going to put my center point, that's just a cheapo Pittsburgh you can get at Harbor Freight, but all the sizes, get the one that's the tightest to the holes drilled in the back of the body, slide it in, and just a little tap is enough to mark that finish on the back of the neck. Now, while I've got the guitar in this position, we have two tremolo claw spring mounting holes for the screws. Check these. Sometimes manufacturers drill them for position only. This time, as you can see, the depth on these holes is enough to screw those trem claw screws in and have it seat good. You don't want to find out that you have to drill a hole deeper after you've already got the guitar body assembled. So now we're going to take the neck back off. I've got 4 clear marks on the back of the neck, and I could put this on the drill press. Now you're going to say, well, that fretboard's radius, how are you going to get it flat? Well, what I'm going to do is take one of my cauls, and I'm going to use a level and make sure it's in the right position, and I'm going to secure it to this caul where everything is flat on the radial drill press, and I'm going to come through with the correct diameter bit, just going to the depth needed to seat those screws in the back of the neck. So this is part 2. This is just doing the neck, and when we come back, I'll be talking to you about putting the tuning machines in and how I'm going to do that, and that's actually going to be part 2A, I guess. Hey everybody, it's Tom at Talent Guitar Works. We're back, and what I'm doing right now is I've installed my Brown's Guitar Factory Fang Jig Alignment and Drilling Guide for tuning machines. Now, if you noticed, some of the Fender tuning machines have dual fangs. The Spurzl tuner I'm using today has got a single fang. So this notch lines up with the center of the tuning machine post hole, and you make sure it's square to the edge of the guitar. Now, before I even did that, I checked to make sure that my tuning machines would fit through the hole on both the back and the bushings on the front side of the neck. Now, had these been too tight, I would have just used the reamer to go ahead and enlarge the hole slightly from whichever side was necessary. So I've got the drill bit that's the correct diameter for the fang for the Spurzls, and I'm just going to step this jig up through the 6 positions and drill that single hole to the correct depth. So when we come back, I'm going to talk to you about how the post heights differ in the Spurzl tuners, where they eliminate the need for a string tree on the guitar. Okay, so we finished up. I got my holes drilled on the back side. I fit all my tuning machines in position in the fangs, made sure all of the bodies are seated. I made sure that my finished washer side is up underneath the bushing, and that our string post heights are large, large, medium, medium, small, small. And this is what's going to eliminate the need for that string tree on this pretty headstock. So we've got that done. Now I've mounted the first screw through the back of the guitar for position only. And that's so I could get a depth measurement on my drill bit that's undersized from the screw to allow the threads to work. Now next I took my bar of soap, and I'm going to just go ahead and put some soap on those threads. And that's going to lubricate these threads going through the hole so they're nice and easy going in. Now also, one of the tips I've got, use the correct tip for the correct cross tip or Phillips head screw. You don't want to mar up or ding up or strip your screw heads trying to put one of these necks on. So when we come back, I'm going to have the 4 holes drilled in the back of the neck, and we're going to go ahead and mount the neck and the heel plate on the back of it, and we're going to take this screw out, and we should have a neck and body assembly. Hey, some of this stuff I'm getting videoed, some of it I don't want to go back and do over again. What I did here was I took my Dremel tool and I ground a spot right next to where the claw arm is to trap that ground wire. And by using the Dremel with a little grinder on it, I removed any polish or other material that could be on the metal that made it easier to solder. If you've ever tried soldering one of these and couldn't get your solder to stick, that was it. But now we're good, we're on, and we're ready to go with the next step, which is going to be to put the soap on these screws and carefully put these in the body after we pass our pushback wire that I used for the ground through the body hole to attach to the potentiometers when we get the pick guard in. So that'll be coming up next. Okay, so I've got the ground wire passed through. I like passing the ground wire on the back side of the claw, so it's not going to interfere with any of the springs, and it's a nice clean route. Now I'm going to just start advancing the screw, and I've already put that soap on here, and we're going to go nice and slow so we don't slip off the tip and scratch anything. Now, I've talked about this before in previous videos on the Jeff Beck trem setup video and how Eric Van Heiden from Supertramp sets his tremolos, and the reasoning being that the 3 treble strings, the G, the B, and the E, put a lot less pressure in pounds on the tremolo than the E, A, and the D do. And at 10 gauge, you got about 104 pounds of pressure. So on the initial setup, we're going to make the spring tension on the E, A, and D springs much tighter than they are on the G, the B, and the E. And I just did that in a for position only type thing here to show you the angle. It's about between 5 and 7 degrees when it's done. Now when I do the guitar setup, it'll be more accurate, but the trem fits in there nice, it floats nice, it's below the cover, which is always a good thing. It's really bad when they start hitting the cover. So I put the strap buttons in off camera, and that's because they're pretty much self-explanatory. Everybody could put strap buttons in. So here's my tail for my ground that's going to be going to my pots. And next I'm going to make sure and check the neck alignment and the bridge alignment in comparison to the neck. And we're just going to do that with some painter's tape and one of the tools I've got. So I'll be right back with that. Okay, I've got the guitar set up now to check the alignment of the neck and of the post. And everything is straight down. And I've got my painter's tape on here, and I didn't press it down all over. I've just got it in here in case I had to make some markings. But it looks like it's perfectly aligned to the body, and you know, I'd have no doubt with a guitar that was built like this. So everything is good to go, and we can take this stuff off and put it away, and we can bring the tape off. And when you do this on a guitar body, you want low tack painter's tape to line it up. Don't put heavy adhesive tape on it, or you're going to be fighting to get that off the finish of the guitar for a while. So we're good to go on that, and our bridge is going to line up fine. So the next things we're going to be doing is probably putting in our mount for our input jack and marking that, or I may just go ahead and get the pick guard loaded and ready to go for this baby. So far so good. We'll get that marked and set up with an input jack and put in, and we'll see you on the next one. All right, this is a reshoot. This isn't John's pick guard, but I wanted to show you the trick I have for mounting humbucker pickups with the big springs and the long screws in any pick guard. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take one side, I'm going to put the spring over the screw, push it down, and I'm going to take an alligator clip and just attach it right there. I'm going to leave it turned so the tang of the screw or the alligator clip is out to the outside. Then I'm going to take the screw head and put it on that little ear, line it up with the hole. And if I get close to it, I can see it. There we go. And I'm going to turn the screw until it takes. Now it's already through the back side, so I release the alligator clip. So if you have to fight with these things all the time and they're driving you crazy, just use this trick. Screw through the pick guard plate, spring down, alligator clip on the screw, ear over the top. It's in position. I'm holding it in place with my thumb, so I'm not fishing for it through the hole. And then just advance it till it takes. And the humbucker's in there. Now, these screws are really long. So once you've got the pickup mounted and it's at the right height for your guitar, you could take these bad boys, these nail cutters, and clip off the excess. Wait until you have it mounted in the pick guard. This way, if you do mar the threads on the screws, when you back the screws out, it should kind of re-tap those screw threads and make it easy to get it back in. If you clip them first and then try and insert them, you're going to be trying to thread that marred up screw head. So, hope this helps.
Yeah, that takes a little getting used to. Don't put that horrible shit on Facebook.
Don't worry, it won't be on Facebook. Hey everybody, this is the last clip of the installment series on John Green's Dean Tagliare assembly. And I want to apologize first for the fact that I didn't get more footage of the guitar before it left. I called John this morning and said it's ready, and out the door she went after he played it for a while. So that's a good thing. It is Christmas Eve, so it was getting kind of around crunch time where I needed to get it out today or he's going to wait a day or two for it. So he came and got it early. Not a problem. Now the video clip that you are missing is of me soldering all the components into the pick guard and wiring the guitar. And I have to apologize for that and give you the explanation. The first is I have a big head. Then I have the need to wear reading glasses. Add to that the need to wear magnifying loops when I solder. Then having my nose about that far from the workpiece so I can ensure that my solder joints are perfect, because I'm like that. Well, what happens when I do that is it inhibits the camera's ability to receive light and focus correctly. So while it's a great B-stock roll for a horror movie and got some close-ups of the inside of my nostril, it doesn't really make a great instructional video on how to solder. So Chris was over this morning, one of my buddies, and picking up some templates and stuff for a guitar he's working on. And he suggested I do that Julia Child thing and get a mirror above the desk where I solder and shoot the camera at the mirror and down onto the workpiece, or shoot through the center of the magnifying lamps that I have where the light ring is on the outside. So we're going to try that in the future. So what did you miss? Well, first, the pickup that you saw me do the spring trick on is not the pickup I used in the guitar. I remembered, I had an epiphany when I looked at that pickup and I saw Fender on it. I said, this isn't the pickup I wanted to use. I had set aside a set of pickups specifically for John Green. And there were 3 Kent Armstrong pickups that were hand wound USA. And the bridge pickup is the Kent Armstrong Vintage 12. It's got 12 adjustable pole pieces if you're a pole piece adjuster. And then it's got a neck and middle pickup from a Kent Armstrong Rory Gallagher set. And yes, he did build those before the family or the estate sold the rights to Seymour Duncan. So these are new old stock. Now, why those 3 pickups, you say? Well, I built another mutual friend, Rick Caruso, my good friend who I speak to every day. Hi, Rick. Hi, Piper. Hope you're having a Merry Christmas. Don't eat all the cookies, Rick. Built him a guitar with those pickups. And John is also a friend of Rick, so he goes over and he must play the guitar when Rick has it out because he loves the guitar Rick has and he wants it. But Rick will not give him this guitar. So, long story short, I kept those pickups on the side and said if I build another guitar, and I built a couple for John already, that I was going to put these pickups in it or offer those pickups to him. So that's where we went. Now the pickups are wired in to Oak Grigsby 5-way switch, pretty standard, and I've got a 500K CTS pot for the volume, and the neck tone is a 250K CTS pot, and the middle tone is also 250K CTS pot. I put a .031 capacitor on there because I like the Paul Reed Smith oddball capacitor sizes. Instead of .47, 047, or .022, I went right in the middle. Ta-da! And the guitar sounds great. It's going out through a Switchcraft input jack, and we put it all together, and like I said, John came over and played it. He asked me in the video not to put it on Facebook. I think he forgot that this is a YouTube channel. So I have to decide, and you probably already saw whether I've decided to put him on there or not. He's testing the guitar out. Now, what did John say about the guitar when he started playing it? First, he loves it. Second, he said, I have to get used to playing the Z-Glide neck. Now, I want to put little asterisks around that because we live in a world right now that a lot of people think requires instant gratification, and it doesn't. The more you use a piece of equipment and become familiar with it, the more it becomes a second part of you. So if you want to think that you could pick up a different style neck, like a True Temper fret neck or something, and immediately master it because that's what you're supposed to do, you're wrong. You have to put the effort into it. You have to develop the muscle memory. You have to condition yourself to perform well with it. And even though he loves the neck, he said he's got to practice with it a lot. Now, me personally, if I get a new guitar and do a review on it, I've played that guitar and that guitar alone, unless it was a customer's guitar, for a month. What that does is kills the euphoric mood that I have from picking up a shiny new guitar and blocking all the bad things that the guitar is trying to tell me, like the fret ends are sharp, or I don't like the way the heel joins the body, or I don't like the sound of these pickups, or the string action's too high, or why is the string spacing too close? Because shiny new guitars have that anesthetic built into them that release the endorphin through your body and make you want to buy it and take it home. And then a month later, you're like, why did I buy this? Just saying, if you've been there, raise your hand. Be honest. So we got that all out. I'd like to thank Dean Zielinski and Parker for all their help with this. When I put his guitar together, assembled it, because I didn't build it, I assembled what they did. It went together like a hand in glove. It didn't have any doubt that it wouldn't do that, but the bridge was already intonated. How they did that, you know, I imagine there's a guy up there who's got his hand on his head at the desk and you got nothing to do, go intonate bridges. Get those saddles right for those new guitars, you know. Anyway, it was perfect, didn't have to move the saddle. Adjusted the height because it came at a standard factory height setting, and I just lowered it to where John wanted it. I did do 1/4 turn of relief on the neck itself, on the truss rod, and that's because most companies send you a neck that's flat or close to flat, and I like to use a little bit of relief in my setups. So that's where that was. The tusk nut was cut to the correct depth from the factory, which is great to see because that saved a lot of time there. And I put Ernie Ball 9s on there, and the guitar tuned up perfectly with dispersals. And like any brand new strings, we're going to have to tune them up a little bit for, a couple times before they sit. But I have no doubt that the guitar is a mathematical masterpiece. So stop with the mojo, stop with the magic. It's just built correctly. That's what you want, built correctly. And consistently built correctly is another good thing. Now, the reason I was thanking Dean is I'm the first person I believe that they sold a guitar body to, this business separate from the rest of the guitar components. And it happened, as the story goes, because of the eagle-eyed neck that we got. But if you have an opportunity to do that, and he offers them in the future, I had no qualms about that body. I would buy another body from him in a minute. It's got a great product, and I did predict that the direct marketing guitar guys are going to make big inroads in the next decade because people are ready to buy a guitar that they haven't seen. Just saying. So, this is Tom at Talon Guitar Works. I hope you enjoyed this video series that's all in one video right now. And remember, only half my ideas are any good. You got to decide which half.